Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Grand Wizard Bukake, your host. Yeehaw! Our heroes are in Wild West Faerun. A desperate battle has begun to save the town, and it's not going well. Sheriff Quinny lured in their foes and killed Red Reggie. Moss was frozen by the risk of collateral damage, and Butthole's plan fell apart at the seams when gangs attacked from within the mines. What will happen now that the Great Collide has begun? Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons.
As the moon over Tomb Slab erupts, and a bright sunny sky and new rock formations begin to erupt from the ground, Garvo, the collector of religions, Garvo, the definitely not undying in this particular world, stumbles bleeding out of the hole he was hiding in the church, to see chunks of the moon begin to burn up in the atmosphere and begin to come plummeting down to earth. And looking around, his little tiny goblin-y eyes go wide when he puts his hands to his head and just says, "Oh, Garvo hates when he's right." And as promised, on the third day, Tomb Slab burned. The siege is well underway. 3 separate gangs have descended upon the now notorious town of Tomb Slab, hunting Quinny Brownbarrow, the notorious outlaw who has been masquerading as a sheriff in this here town. However, over the course of several adventures, they managed to piss off Typhinius Industries enough that the man himself and his badly damaged war spider have come looking for vengeance. And if he happens to flatten that town that's standing in the way of his railway, that ain't bad either. Gary, the Aarakocra, who Quinny once shot and left for dead, is back and mad and looking for vengeance with a gang of trained killers he's put together, dressed in notorious standard Quinny robes. Meanwhile, the High Leaves have come to claim the bounty and are now engaged in mortal combat with a rival gang, the Tingly Boys, who are now short 1 Red Reggie, but definitely up 1 Angel Eyes Archie, who is now stalking towards our dear friend Moss with vengeance on his mind. Things are rapidly going to shit as the very ground beneath you begins to twist and break. Quinny, it's the top of the round. What do you do?
I want to basically run through the building and come out to like an emptier part of the street, and just fire a shot off at the church bell to get just like it's a cacophony of gunfire and fighting and stuff like that. And I just need a different sound to get people's attention, so I'm gonna fire off a shot.
Great. I'll let you have that for free. You've gone from low noon to high noon. A particularly good time for a lone sheriff to grab everyone's attention. The bullets spray off the bell, and for a moment, everyone stops. Also, everyone is adjusting to like rock formations jutting up through the ground, and like the earth's beginning to collapse. So everyone was looking for an excuse to stop shooting, but everyone stops for just a brief second. What do you do?
And I just shout as loudly as I can. My name is Quinny Brownbarrow, and I believe a number of you are here to see me. Well, I'm right here. Who's up first?
Can you roll me a persuasion check?
Persuasion would be charisma, so -1, 17.
17? Okay. A sort of confused hush comes over the crowd. But as much as, there's still like a mumbling and everything, but everyone does seem to calm down for a moment. As I said, everyone's kind of looking for an excuse to not have to deal with what's going on. A glass-windowed office tower is in the process of phasing in and out of existence nearby. Its panes shattering, people falling, chunks of concrete plummeting from it. You're not sure, but in the distance, you think you see a whale drop from the sky. Things are truly going to hell. But from the emerging from the church, stepping around the hammer. Ryan, I assume the hammer stops when Quinny yells this, or do you keep swinging?
If they stop, the hammer would pause. Yeah.
Okay. Gary steps around and just says, Quinny, there you are, old friend. I must say you left quite an impression. And he points to the bullet just under his eye that you notice is missing and replaced by a badass looking eye patch.
Cool. Gary, I well and truly did not think I would see you again.
No, that's what shooting someone in the face is meant to prevent, I think.
Well, we can fix that right here and now.
Perhaps. And then you hear another voice chime in. It just says, "Oh, yes. Quinny Brownbarrow. My elves and I have been seeking you for quite a time." And Linarian just, drops elegantly from a rooftop and just spins his two pistols and just walks like with the calculated grace of a ballet dancer towards you. And then dismounting his horse and looking briefly at Reggie and just saying, "Such a disappointment to me you are, son." Angel Eyes Archie Tingler walks completely past you, Butthole, doesn't even spare a glance at you, which still sends a chill through you because, you still got all those hangups about Dad from that time you thought his voice could command you. Marches past and also steps out. And it would seem that we got ourselves a standoff. The leaders of all of these gangs meet in the middle of the sort of central road of downtown. It's gone from low noon to high noon, and all the gangs and all the warriors stand by as the four of you meet in the center. I hope it's playing in your heads, but if it's not, now would be a great time to either start humming or to just blast from Spotify or nearby any great Western track you've got. Doesn't matter. Just grab it, grab some more Coney. It's probably what you want. It's what I want. But
gonna paint your wagon. Gonna paint it nice.
Well, you got to use an oil-based paint because the wood is pine.
That's right.
Ponderosa pine. A single tumbleweed rolls by unpunched because Terrence is securely departed.
The camera pans up to reveal that Terrence is still in the coffin outside the sheriff's office because we didn't do anything.
Yeah, but the torches have burned down. Admittedly, that's also like they never dealt with Morgan Freeman's body in Unforgiven either, which is where I stole that from. So it's good. We're just sticking with the theme. The four of you face each other down as Typhinius yells from the spider, "Oh, what in the hell is happening?" As a small building has burst through the ground, kind of popping up under the spiders. The spider legs are all kind of awkwardly flailing as the spider is held in the air. And Moss, to your surprise and admittedly somewhat relief, Sheriff Quinny steps out to face down these attackers. And for a moment, everything is calm. At which point, Butthole, you feel the blade enter your ribs as a scent of lavender enters your nose. And over your shoulder, you hear a voice say, "The one of many faces sends his regards, Mr. Farch." Go ahead and take 14 points of damage as Ambric's black blade enters your side. What do you do?
Well, I would like to say, and Moonhammer says, "Hello." And bonus action, my hammer over to hit him in the back because the spiritual hammer can move and swing.
Great. And forgive me, is the spiritual hammer concentration?
Spiritual hammer is not concentration. It pops up and I've got
I thought it wasn't because I feel like I've asked that before and been disappointed to find out that it's just like a magic kill switch, but I gave it back to you, so really this is on me. It needs to roll to attack, right?
It's an attack. It's a straight up attack roll. Yeah.
Cool. Swing away.
It rolls good. It's a 22.
You will hit the Warlock Dandy.
Wonderful. And it will do 10 damage to the Warlock Dandy from where he stands. And then what I would like to do is where he's got me and I'm standing, I would like to drop the hammer in my hands because I'm imagining he's behind me. This feels like one of those
this is like a full-on like fucking Rescue Cut and Pache, like Assassin's Creed, like hand on the shoulder, knife in the back, et tu brute.
And then I would like to fart on my hands, setting them aflame inside the armor, and I would like to reach back and just grab his head and thumbs in the eyes is what I'm aiming for over my back.
I mean, normally you'd call this blue flame. What do you yell as you do this?
I think because I have to be really quick, I can't get out all the words, so I just go blame. I just run all the like blue flame and into one thing and just yell blame and then go. And I mean,
having been on the receiving end of having my eyes taken out by you in a play in ancient times, I know this sucks. This hurts a lot. Go ahead and roll your attack there, bud.
Alrighty.
I'll give you advantage because he's currently holding your shoulder and his knife.
That's reasonable. That is an 18 to hit.
That hits.
Beautiful. And with my flaming gauntlets, I will do an additional 10 damage.
Oh,
and it's all radiant. I don't know if that matters with him being infernal,
he's a warlock, but yeah, his eyes burst, and he screams. The scream smells of lavender, which is kind of nice. But as his body begins to go like slump against you. He just manages to mutter, "My master and I will see you in hell."
And he's going, "Fucking duh."
And then his body falls off of you.
All right. Well, I know this is a certain and important scene for everybody else. However, no one's looking at me, so he just kind of leans down and he'll cure wounds himself and just start fiddling through his pockets. Like Butthole's like other people having an important moment to discover if they're a hero or not, and I'm going to rob a dead man.
Totally fair. Moss, where are you at with all the things that are going on? I've been enjoying watching Laura the player's facial expressions, but for those listening at home, what's going through Moss's head right now?
It's kind of honestly like it's
understood.
It's like totally overwhelming. At the same time, there's just like all right, fucking Quinny stepped up.
Speaking of, Sheriff Quinny, you step into the middle of the road with you've called the other gang leaders out. They are all here. Typhinius is actively trying to like crawl down from the spider, but he's having a hell of a time. So he's doing that stupid thing where like his rope doesn't quite reach the ground. He's not that strong, so he's like just kind of hanging in the air, being like, "Oh, wait for me! I'm also important." But not a true and pressing concern. You're facing down the other gang leaders as flaming chunks of the moon rapidly rocket down toward the earth, and the ground beneath you begins to shift and twist as the sky begins to tremble from blue to black. What do you do?
I look around and say, mighty strange weather we're having, aren't we?
And Gary laughs. Archibald just kind of glares. And Linarian is just so like haughty and above it all that he's just kind of like looking. He's doing that like nail thing where he's just like looking at his nails wrapped around a gun. He's like, "Is it?"
Great. And that based on that reaction from everyone, Quinny is just like, well, and then just fans the hammer. Just quick draw, fans the hammer.
All right.
If you got Gary laughing, and if you got Linarian kind of being too casual, this is it, my friends.
This is the standoff. So Tyler, go ahead and roll your attacks. They're going to roll their attacks, and we'll see how it all shakes out. I just dropped my d20, so I got to grab it. One sec. All right, I have my rules standing by. The earth continues to tremble. The walls of some of the more damaged buildings are beginning to collapse and fold inward. Everyone stands in rapt attention as everything goes to incipia, and you put little X's over everyone's heads. And then you start mashing that sweet button. What'd you get, bud?
You want me to just read out my hits? Because I haven't fired Frostbite for this combat, I have 6 shots to fire with Fan the Hammer.
So I guess my question is, how many are you putting on each person? I know obviously 1 for each in the hopes that, kill shots, but...
Yeah. I guess 2 for each of them, right?
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect.
Archie, Gary, and Lanarian,
Yep.
right? So 3 of them, two shots each. So for Gary, that's 18 and 24 to hit.
Yep.
For Archie, it's 14 and 15.
15 will hit, 14 won't.
Okay. And for Lanarian, it's 12 and 21.
21 will hit.
Okay. So Gary gets 2 hits.
Yep.
So that's 2d6 for each hit. So I'm going to roll 4d6. The model, it's +3 for, +3. 21 + 3, 24 damage to Gary.
Just as he snaps up a shot, he will hit you with his, so you're gonna take 7 from Gary's shot, but he takes 2 to center mass, he takes 1 to the chest and 1 blows off one of his wings, and he just coughs once, and says, "I survived you once, old friend. I will survive." And then he falls to his knees and falls forward dead.
Okay.
Roll for Archibald and
So only
Lunarian.
only a
So
regular
for the-
2d6.
For the sake of our movie image, Tom, I'm imagining this is during
All
the montage of
simultaneous.
everyone shooting bullets, and then it does that cut to the group, and we just see who is hit with what.
Yes, absolutely. It's
Beautiful.
literally like it's a proper Mexican standoff. We zoom in on everyone's eyes, and it's just like blah, 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 blah. And we see what happens to each of them as we go. And to your point, Ryan, we're gonna do this like one at a time, but we should imagine this happening simultaneously.
There's a flurry of shots, and now we're cutting to each person to see who's injured.
Exactly
now.
right. Yep.
So it's 8 damage total to Archibald.
Okay, we'll come back to that. What happens to Lunarian?
12 damage to Lanarian.
Okay. So flurry of shots. Music reaches a crescendo. Everyone fires. Gary drops, having hit Quinny. Lanarian gets hit. He's clearly badly wounded. He actually doesn't shoot you, Quinny, at all. He empties his entire clip into Archibald. There's some history there that will come up in an expanded universe novel, and then when we sell Dum-Dums and Dragons to Disney, will be completely erased and then repurposed to the Mandadumlian season 2. Empties his entire clip into Archibald as you also fire into him. And you are alarmed and upset to see a dark liquid absorb the hits. It would seem in this world, as in others, Archibald's made some terrible deals.
God.
And as the wounds leak a black substance, he just laughs, and the gold in his eyes flares as black liquid tar begins to run out of his mouth and his ears and his nose and his eyes. Other orifices too, but you can't see them because he's wearing pants. he just kind of cracks his head both ways and says, you know, in a world where the god of war no longer answers the call, sometimes you gotta reach a little further afield. You understand me, son? And suddenly his entire body lurches forward as his rib cage bursts from his chest, and he begins to mutate into his second form, which you'll remember from our other world. And Lunarian goes, oh, tits, the rumors were true. The showdown at high noon is complete. Now the real fight begins. The gangs are worried, though. The Tinkley boys are not thrilled about this. This is kind of concerning. The High Leaves are standing by to see what Lunarian does. Moss, what do you do?
Fuck, man.
You notice that the townspeople are confused and terrified and seem to be lacking direction. How do you help them? Oh, you also do still have the Gatling gun if you wanted to mix things up. As I mentioned, the last movie I watched in prep for this was Unforgiven. So if you want to start breaking some Western rules, now might be the time.
Well, I haven't seen Unforgiven. Sorry.
No, it's great. You should at some point. But basically, its whole deal was like, hey, you know all those old westerns we did? What if we just dealt with the grim realities of them, and instead of like a cool showdown where everyone resolved things, it was just messier and worse? Because that's how it was.
I'm kind of like, I kind of feel like I don't know what's going on anymore. The only thing I know is that I wanted to protect these people.
So how do you help them?
I think it's kind of like me, kind of like just in the background, kind of like slowly shifting and be like catching the eyes of people and just be like, yeah, this way. I'm just gonna kind of just get people just like, let's gather like a little distance away and move out of sight of whatever the hell is happening right now.
Cool. Can you roll me a persuasion check?
Yeah.
Or an intimidation. If it's like, move fuckers, move, then
no. It's definitely
like, follow me.
Yeah, you could point the Gatling gun at them and yell, go over there.
Oh, I get luck again.
You do.
Yes. This is once per day. And I gotta fucking save these people. So that's an 18.
Okay. So I think, Moss, at this point, you've realized something about Tomb Slab. You and these people were willing to fight to the death to protect this geographical space, because this seemed like where home is. Now, though, other home spaces are kind of invading your home space. The moon exploded and is about to rain ungodly amounts of hell down. These people in this town might be more than just a space. And it's one thing to stand up in the face of a greedy industrialist who's just trying to destroy it for no reason. It's another to realize that dying just to stand in the same, admittedly kind of shitty, dusty town might not be worth it.
Totally.
So you start to yell for them to get to the carts. The mother you saved earlier starts like gesturing people towards the carts, and the townsfolk start quickly mounting up because it might be time to abandon ship, as it were. The sky shifts between blue and black and eventually settles on a sickly red as flaming chunks of the moon begin to rain down on the small town of Tomb Slab. The saloon explodes as a meteorite hits it, and out of the ground, monsters begin to crawl. The worlds that yours have collided with are not pleasant worlds, but rather dark ones. And as the landscape begins to shift, you see in the distance a massive chunk of earth collapse as the mine implodes.
Jesus, good thing I didn't tell everyone to go to the mine for shelter.
A massive cry as Cortexis half drags himself out of the mess, but then is smothered as the earth itself begins to collapse. And you hear the howls of creatures not of this world or any you've seen begin to scream from deep inside the mines. It would seem that the world itself might be ending. The Tingly Boys don't know what else to do, so they start to turn their attention on the caravan. Butthole, you've survived being stabbed. You've looted through Ambrick. He's got a bunch of he's got the deed to Uncle Jim Jim's. So good news is you now own Uncle Jim Jim's Sarsaparilla Saloon, what's left of it.
Yep.
So that's pretty good.
It blew up, but I own it.
But you also find, obviously, the sigil of the One of Many Faces, and a copy of the Infernal Contract that he signed. The world is ending, and that's a bit of a bummer. But in your ongoing quest to save Quinny and Bucky in your world from the One of Many Faces, having a copy of his contract will go a fucking long way. So you have that, which will help. We can safely say you have completed the progress wheel of contract law that we've been doing for 2 seasons.
Yay!
Achievement unlocked. But yes, so you have that. You have the black blade that he stuck in your back. You notice the corpse has a smile on its face, which is pretty upsetting, and is sort of further proof. I actually don't think you were in Dumb Faerun for any of the Manny has seized control of hell sequences.
Nope, I don't know any of that.
So it's odd that you recognize it as how you would feel if you had to go to hell. And that's a little alarming, but he could just be crazy.
Well, his soul's also owned, so I don't know the deal. So yeah, it's a red flag, but nothing definitive.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so Butthole, Moss is getting people to the caravan, but the very ground beneath you is starting to collapse. Quinny is having a full-on showdown with the other gang leaders, but things are looking pretty bleak. What do you do?
I'm gonna run to Moss and tell her that everybody needs to hold hands in the caravan. Just as many people as possibly can. Because with the world ending, Butthole's logic is, okay, I can either yank no one, or maybe I could yank a whole bunch of people. So if everybody holds hands, I can suck this whole caravan through to Dumb Faerun and we could sort it out.
Great. So, Moss, do you do that?
Yes.
Great.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm going to fart yank everybody. If they all hold hands, and we'll see how many people I can fart yank into a world that isn't dying.
Okay,
They're
good.
just like,
if you hadn't said that, I was just like, oh, so we're just all going to die. Maybe we should hold hands.
They're just like... I don't know, Deputy. Maybe we should wait for the sheriff. And Moss, you reach into your pocket and feel the badge. What do you do?
I say, I am the sheriff now. Because...
Laura, I'm giving you 1 point of inspiration for making a joke I like. And with
just
that,
pandering now.
I mean, what is a D&D podcast if not a chance to pander to the DM? They all nod to each other, and one by one, they hold hands. And Moss, admittedly, even if this is the end, at least you'll all go down as the town of Tomb Slab, not as a bunch of random strangers looking for a better way. Quinny, you get a bit of an Obi-Wan Kenobi moment. You look up and over the symbiote Archibald's shoulder, and you see the entire town clasping hands, and Moss holding up the badge and kind of speaking to them. And you get a sense that maybe, just maybe, these folks have a chance. Butthole, do you...
I would like to summon...
fart yank your way out of here?
I was going to say, I would like to summon, if possible, Tom. This is a reach, but I feel like he would stretch for this on the way, and his powers have been increasing. I would love to be able to do a thaumaturgical cell phone to Quinny for a final statement before I risk it all with a fart yank.
I'll allow it. And also, I was going to say, Butthole, before you fart yank, I'm sure you're like looking to Quinny to be like, can I grab him?
Yeah. I mean, how close is he? I am imagining
he's still. So you guys are up a little bit. Like basically, you're using the church as cover. He is in the middle of town square with Lenarian, the dying Gary, and Archibald.
All of the gangs between us and
everybody.
Right?
And admittedly, the Tingly boys are starting to turn their guns towards you because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So yes,
Quinny.
you thaumaturgically cell phone Quinny.
Sheriff Quinny, I'm so sorry it didn't work out the way that we expected with the world ending and everything going wrong. And I'm extra sorry because I don't think I'm going to see you again. Because heroes don't go to hell, buddy. Heroes go to heaven. But I can give you something along the way. You majestic son of a bitch. I wish I could kiss you. Why will no Quinny love me?
And Quinny, how do you respond? Ryan, before you do anything, what is
Okay.
Quinny, how do you respond?
Quinny spits out like a big league chew amount of blood. And if like you can see him, he's just like looking at you with like one eye kind of like swollen shut from like fighting Reginald, getting shot a bunch by Gary now as well. Like he's not looking great. And he just says like, go on then. He's not the same like mouthy Quinny that you know. So he just says, go on.
Cool, Tom. And then I would like to hit him with a inspire faith. Maybe this one just gives him the dice. Maybe this one does inspire a little bit of faith in a god. I'm not going to make a rule. I'm just going to say that he feels it. So it'll add a D8 to his next roll, but I prefer the more metaphorical references of an inspire faith there.
Quinny, do you think you would have any faith in a god?
I have faith in Butthole Farch.
All right. And with that, Butthole, you fart into the wish stone,
And wish
which was entirely unnecessary, but you're wishing to see Moonhammer, correct?
Yeah. I want to get to Moonhammer with all these people. I wish with all my deepest fart.
And as you do so, a portal begins to take shape in the south end of the town, past Quinny, past all the gangs, begins to take shape as the ground itself begins to sink inward, as fire begins to erupt from the earth, and as shards of the moon begin to plummet down, rending the planet itself. You guys need to make a desperate run. Quinny, you see this happen. You see the portal open. What do you do?
Can I spend some stress?
Yeah, buddy.
I would like to reveal that in my other holster where Hotshot was is one last stick of dynamite.
Fuck yeah, bud.
So I'll just and thinking kind of still like bad bandit brain, still that like survival instinct of like maybe I'll get out of this. Of just like if anyone would have a weapon to kill Archibald Tingler, it would be his ambitious son Reginald. So I basically quick draw the dynamite, just flick it out of my holster, and unsling the shotgun and fire a scatter at the dynamite stick, basically in front of me. Like I flick it at Archibald and I fire off a shot from the shotgun.
Archibald calls out for his one true love in this world. He goes, Arthur! As this happens, see
how much black you bleed.
Linarian, amazing. Linarian goes, oh, how predictable. The town of Tombslab, led by Sheriff Moss and Butthole Farch, rushes through the blast that destroys Quinny, Angel Eyes Archie Tingler, Linarian, and also Gary. And with Garvo bringing up the rear, he just looks back and says, Garvo knew he could do it. Garvo thinks he found red dumb redemption. And with that, as the remnants of the moon hit the ground and destroy Old West Faerun, the two of you and the people you've saved fall and continue to fall.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Elizabeth at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons logo is by Decapitated Markers at Decapitated Marker on Twitter. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, are, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. Christian Menicola, Long, the Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, Charles Grams, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, One True Artistry, Orion Birchfield, Lord of Bradovic, Noel Lewis, Scott Garland, Anthony Griffin, Jordan Neesmith, Benjamin V., Gavin and Abby McDonald, Taryn Hefner, Cade Peters, Richard Cranium, Christian Mendez, Anna Zed, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.